All right, what's up, everybody? We are Dog Awful Betting. We are here with another podcast at the South Point Casino. You can see it behind me here. This is our Super Bowl edition. Just going to go over Chiefs, Eagles, and Super Bowl. Is it 58? 57, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
57.
57.
Just going to go over who we like, what we like, kind of some matchups, injury reports, stuff like that. Um, we are on Twitter. You can find us at Dog Awful Betting. We have a Facebook page as well. Just search Dog Awful Betting. We'll pop up there. Give us a like, give us a share, thumbs up, comment. You know, like I say every podcast, we're just trying to build a following. The bigger following we get, the more podcasts we'll try to knock out on a more weekly routine, which is what we'd like to do. But right now, it's just recreation. It's just fun. We just like to talk about sports and betting. We're here with Sideways Jarby. We're here with Puff. A little side note: they are Chiefs homers, so be prepared for that commentary. I am supporting the Ravens, as I did meet Justin Tucker last week. Super fun guy, super funny guy, I should say. Um, so there's my support for him. But yeah, let's have a good podcast and let's discuss the Super Bowl. Anything off the top of your guys' heads, just
Yeah.
in general, before we break down the?
I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be, real competitive. I don't see a blowout. I don't see, I think it's the two best teams in the end, honestly, when everything shook out. And so I'm looking forward to it. I mean, obviously Chiefs, but just in general, I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm looking forward to it.
Anything, Shane? Shane looks frozen.
Best record with the AFC and the NFC. Best records are colliding, and you don't always see that in NFL, but it's going to be a great game. I agree, and looking forward to just everything it's going to bring. I mean, the excitement of just both these QBs, both these fan bases. I mean, it's going to be a great Super Bowl. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it should. I'm expecting it to be a pretty good game. We don't have to quite get into the over under on points or anything like that yet, but I think it'll be a low scoring game, just because I think both coaches might be a little more conservative. Just try not to make that mistake to cost them. That's my opinion. But I think it'll be a good scoring game, or good battle, I guess. Low scoring game. But yeah, so as of right now here at South Point, the spread is actually Eagles -2. The over under is set at 51 currently. I do expect that to move once it gets closer to the Sunday. I don't know which way it'll swing. Because like you guys are saying, I believe it's that evenly matched. So I just think money's going to come in on both sides. If I had to bet, well, obviously if I had to bet, but I would think since the Chiefs are plus money right now, there's going to be a lot of money coming in on the Chiefs once it gets closer to the Super Bowl. I actually think once Sunday gets here, it could be an even line.
Yeah, I could probably.
I really do. Just the fact that the Chiefs have been to the Super Bowl twice in the last 3 or 4 years now.
This is third time in 4 years now.
So they have the experience. So I just expect the Sharks to jump on that and bet it potentially. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. But it's when this sheet was printed, I have a South Point sheet right here. It was printed. I don't know what day it was printed, but it's Chiefs -1, and right now it's Eagles -2. So that a lot of money's come in on the Eagles already for it to swing that much. So I anticipate closer to the Super Bowl. I think once the injury reports come out, I think that's when the line might start to shift a little bit. People start putting their money down a little more. But what do you guys like? So Eagles -2. Are you guys betting spread? You guys betting money line? What do you like about the over under?
I'm kind of completely opposite on what you were saying, Knight, on being a low scoring game. I actually think I think it's going to be point after point after point after point. I saw a stat. I picked it up, and the Eagles have played 5 top 16 offenses this year over every game that they've played. And in those 5 games, they've given up 30 points a game, 3 points per drive, and 9.7 explosive pass rate. So while I agree that the Eagles defense is really, 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 really good, that stat alone makes me believe that they've been, I don't want to say padding their numbers because that's not the right thing to say, but I feel like when they play an explosive and legitimate offense, that they are somewhat exposed from what it looks like when they play, say, the Giants or the Commanders. So, and we all know the Eagles running attack with Jalen and Miles Sanders and the ability for him to hit AJ Brown and Smith down the field. So I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. I would tend to go over that 51 number if I was gonna do that, and I think I would take Chiefs +2 at this point. But that's just kind of where I'm at right now. Like you said, the injury report for the Chiefs is going to be a huge factor in how that goes, because they released a deal yesterday or today that every Chiefs player on the roster practiced, which is a huge swing from what last week was. That Juju practiced, Tony practiced, a letter just came off the injury report. Snead has cleared protocol. Willie Gay practiced. Mecole is out, so that's a big hit. But
he went to the IR actually.
Mecole, he's done. So, but other than that, everybody is full go as far as practice goes. So I like a lot of points. I think it's going to be an exciting, high scoring game on both sides.
I mean, I could see it. Like, I'm not saying like I'm hard on the under. I just think because it's the Super Bowl, I think they could be a little more cautious with their play calling potentially. So I just lean towards the under on that. I mean,
yeah.
I don't remember what the score last year was for the Super Bowl, but I would just think that most Super Bowls I feel like are on the lower end. They're not necessarily on the high end, but it's not something I've looked up. But
who played last year?
Rams and
I can't remember.
Rams, Eagles, or Bengals.
Oh, that's right. I think it was what 20, 27, 24 something, 21, 24 something. Something like that. Yeah. But but I think the Rams defense was way more dominant than either one of these defenses are. So
yeah, I mean, you were talking about the Eagles defense or just a few minutes ago. I was looking somewhere, and the Eagles have the 31th ranked strength of schedule. So their schedule, they had an easy schedule.
And that was kind of what I was getting at when I was talking about the offenses that they've played. It's going to be real interesting to see when they play. I mean, on paper, the best offense in the league. It's going to be interesting to see it. What do you think, Shane?
Yeah, I think when you're talking over unders, I mean, man, if I'm going one way or another here, I mean, I'm probably teasing, probably right now the Chiefs making it from plus to +8 or +9, however many points you want to get on that, and then I would probably lean towards the over myself. Under's a safe bet probably as well as far as when it comes to the teaser. It depends on how you're just really feeling confident in the game. But I just think that if you're going with the Chiefs to win the game, I think that it's going to have some points to it. But we'll see. I think that the Chiefs defense really needs to really come into play. I'm excited just as a Chiefs fan that the players are actually playing. Snead, a big improvement for us. We lost him and just getting our wide receiver core back. Hopefully Mahomes is going to be, good to go as far as being more mobile this week than he was in the previous game. But I really do think this is going to be a showdown. I don't see it being by too much. You Puff, you said you'd take the Chiefs +2. If I'm doing +2 at Chiefs, I'm just doing the money line. If I'm picking that game, which, for me, I'd just, go with that. But uh, it's hard for me to bet against the Chiefs right now. I just think, given the history of them being there, and I know the Eagles won it a few years back themselves, but just the strength of schedule, I think the AFC was just so much more. I mean, realistically, the toughest teams that the Eagles played this year were in their own division. And in their own division, I mean, teams are always just knowing each other more and more. I mean, it doesn't matter how good one is over the year from next. I mean, the worst team in that division can sometimes play with the best teams just because you play each other so much. But I am curious to know how it's going to go whenever, the Eagles play a quarterback like Mahomes, because it's been a while since they've played anybody of a good caliber of quarterback this year. So that's why I really think it's going to be tested. And if I had to go somewhere, I'd probably go the over, and I'd go Chiefs. And if I could tease both of those things, which is what I'd do, +8 or +9 is a lot of points, and then just over 42 points or something like that. It's pretty good. So that's probably what I would lean, is doing the teaser.
Well, hold on. If you're going 51, if the over's 51, it's going to be 45 or 44, depending
All
if
right,
you go 6 or
45.
7
I'd go for
points.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think it'll be in the 20s. Yeah, I think I think it'll be like a 27-23 game, which is right there
Mm-hmm.
in the unders, what I'm thinking. But like I said, I'm not real
Mm-hmm.
hard on it. I could definitely see it going over too. Um, so yeah, I'm not real big on this game as far as over under or the spread, just because I don't really like either team. But if I had to bet, I would probably tease the Chiefs, and I'd probably go the under just to be safe, because I think it's going to hit the under on the normal under. That's what I would pick if I actually bet it, but I'm not going to actually bet the game. Either way, I'm just going to stick to prop bets just to keep me interested into the game this year. Um, so yeah.
I think
Uh,
I think
what?
a big thing too, real quick, and then I'll let you. I think the other thing that is going to be pretty significant is the Chiefs front four. They were second in the league in sacks, and with Jalen's shoulder, I mean I'm not convinced he's 100% just based off watching the Niners game. Some of those throws didn't look like he was able to get a lot of pop behind it. So, you got Jones, who's just been unreal this year. You've got Clark on the end, you got Karlaftis on the end, you've got Snead back for the blitz. I think the Eagles' offensive line, while it is a dominant group, I think they're going to be in for, kind of like Shane said, they haven't played real good teams down the stretch, and so I think that's going to be a matchup to watch. The Chiefs front four, front seven against that Eagles offensive line. I think that's where the game's going to be won and lost for either team.
I mean, I know you talked
Yeah,
about
I
Jalen's
agree.
shoulder, but it'll be 2 weeks that he's had to recover.
Yeah.
Obviously, he'll be better, somewhat better. Like I said, we don't know how serious it actually is, so
Yeah.
It's not something I'm going to worry about. It's the Super Bowl. They're gonna give him a shot. He'll be ready to go. I don't think it's anything to worry about.
I just meant as far as like strength wise, not necessarily whether he'll play. Just
Yeah.
if it's
Right.
there
Just
for him
throwing
to,
the deep ball or something. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah. I
they
think it'll
don't.
be interesting.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think it'd be interesting if he can even throw the deep ball, or how much that will be attempted. I do think they're going to rely heavily on the run game, which could favor going on the unders as in itself too. I do think that they're going to probably, run the ball quite a bit. I do think that's what helps their offensive line be good, is just because of the running. Sanders is decent running back. He's a decent running back that can go with with Hurts, and I do think I think that's what's kind of that's what I don't know the stats, but I would like to see stats just comparative, as far as him not being stacked. Well, how often is it like a passing play compared to a run play that is always set with Jalen Hurts? As far as how I know it's a good offensive line, but like how good when we're saying sit back in that pocket and make a pass, or is it just push everybody because we're pushing going downfield, running the ball with either Sanders or Hurts? So I do think that will be interesting to see. I think that because the wide receivers last week, I mean, I feel like Cincinnati had a loaded core as far as with Higgins and with and Chase. Thankfully, all we really got to worry about kind of is Brown, which he is a dominant receiver, but I do think they're going to run heavily. I think they're just going to really rely on pounding the ball and trying to just push everything forward. So hopefully we're going to be ready for some screen outs, quick passes if necessary. I don't look for the big deep balls. I just look for them just move the chains every 10 yards, and hopefully our defenders can be there and be ready.
Yeah, I mean, I would say with like anytime you're going against Mahomes, you want to control the ball, and the best way to do that is to run it. But you just need to be effective, obviously. With a running quarterback, you can be more effective at running and controlling it. So, yeah, that's kind of another reason I like the under as well. So you said you looked up the injury report. It's not going to be in full detail, obviously, but like what do you got?
Yeah, so the Eagles injury report really wasn't much of anything. I mean, they have Landon Dickerson, who's their guard. It's basically their offensive line. Lane Johnson has a growing injury, but it says it's unspecified. But they said that they didn't have anybody listed as questionable. So I don't even know if they're, you know what I mean? I don't know what's going on. But I know with the Chiefs, like I said before, Hardman's out. But Juju, Sneed, Tony, Willie Gay, they were all full goes yesterday in their padded practice. And then I mean, for what it's worth, like I said, it's the Super Bowl, so he's not going to give anything away. But Mahomes said that his ankle actually felt better today than it had felt before even the AFC Championship game. So I think he's kind of like you said with Jalen. I think Mahomes is going to be full bore.
For sure.
I don't think there's going to be anything there, but that was what I could find for today. But again, it's Tuesday of Super Bowl, so I'm not sure how in depth the injury report really is.
Right. I'm not sure what day they come out this week. Probably Thursday, I would think.
Wednesday, isn't it? Isn't that normal? Is the first injury report legitimate one?
Yeah. But like I said, Super Bowl's a little bit different, so I don't know what they plan on doing. But yeah, it doesn't sound like there's anything major that we're questioning. They're a little banged up, but they've each had 2 weeks to rest up, so it doesn't sound like it's going to be anything that's going to affect performance. I don't think.
No.
I
don't think so.
Yeah. So I don't know. You guys got anything else to add?
I'm just looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be one of the better Super Bowls we've had in a while, honestly.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be good. Plus, it's just got the extra added things. I know that
Kelce brother.
Travis Kelce and his brother being in the Super Bowl together, pretty cool thing. And never happened. And I'm just excited. I mean, I think it's going to be a great Super Bowl. I think both these teams kind of respect each other and kind of getting ready to go have a good battle.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping for just a good game for entertainment purposes. Like I said, I don't really have a dog in the fight, if you want to say. I would have preferred the Bengals to go. I like the Bengals a little more than I do the Chiefs. I would be rooting for the Bengals a little bit, but as far as who wins for me, I don't really care. Just give me a good game, and I'd be happy with that. So like kind of some off-season stuff that we can kind of get into. I heard today on NFL radio that Derek Carr could be a Saint. He's going to go visit them tomorrow. And based on what I heard on NFL radio, is that they actually have a deal worked out if Carr approves the trade.
Really?
That's the way they made it sound on NFL radio. It's like basically Carr's going to visit tomorrow if he likes what he hears. The trade's been worked out. It's ready to go.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is actually. I was
Good for
surprised.
him. Good for him.
Yeah.
He needs to go to the NFC. I mean, that NFC, man, it's up for grabs more if you and Saints, if they could just get things going with just a little bit here and there.
I mean, the Saints
Go with it, man.
The Saints have some talent.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got Olave, they've
Yeah.
got that Johnson, that tight end that kind of emerged this year. Their defense is solid. Kamara's whatever, but yeah, I think that's a pretty good fit. I mean, the Jets are obviously going after Rodgers, it sounds like. So, I mean, if I'm Carr, yeah, I like that fit. I like that for him.
And that's another thing.
Too.
I was listening to NFL radio. They talked about Rodgers too, and he's doing some type of like, it's like dark deprivation thing. Did you guys hear about that?
I did. What a lunatune! What a loser!
Like, apparently he's going to be in the dark, total darkness for 4 days, and he's supposed to go into like some hallucinative state. I guess. I don't know. I guess for him, I guess it makes him more focused or more. I don't know. It just seems weird that he's going to go into that and then he's going to see if he wants to retire, still play football, and go from there. That just seems like a weird one to me.
What a turd.
Yeah.
Kind of weird. I know. I mean, realistically, I wouldn't be surprised if Rodgers ends up as a Raider again. I mean, I've heard that, of course. He's recently asked at a golf tournament, hey, I heard that Devontae wants you over there. And he's like, hey, let him buy me a house.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it'll be interesting to see where he lands. I do think the Jets will be interested in any other team that can probably afford him or really like they want to make a big push, then they'll go for it, and if I'm Green Bay, I'm jumping all over it. I'm going to get him out of there, and I'm going to start retooling, and I'm going to start getting some things going in another direction. I think I'd just be done with the Rodgers era. I mean, you pushed it, did as good as you could. You got only one Super Bowl out of it, but take what you can and get what you can out of it right now, and let it go.
It's interesting you were talking about the Raiders. I was thinking about this the other day. If you're Rodgers, right, and you're obviously at the tail end, why would you want to go to the AFC?
Right.
Like in what universe does that appeal to you? I mean, you go to the Jets, okay, fine. Well, then you got to deal with Allen. Well, that's not much fun.
Right.
You go to the Raiders, Jiminy Christmas, you got to do Herbert, Mahomes, and Wilson if Sean Payton gets him going. To me, it's almost like either hope that Green Bay sends you to San Francisco or, something like that, or retire or play one more year, get your $60 million and then go. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that, to me, from obviously just TV, he doesn't come across as the kind of guy that wants to go and like compete against the best to get to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't see what any advantage for him going to the AFC would be. He would be the fourth best quarterback in the AFC alone. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
But he's still good enough to get it done. He just needs the right pieces around him, right coach around him.
Okay, well, Vegas isn't the right place then because their defense is trash. So
it is trash. It's trash.
It's terrible. So I mean, you go to the Raiders and Rodgers has to put up 40 a game to win. I don't know.
No matter where he goes outside of San Francisco, it's going to be an uphill battle. No matter where he goes, whether it be the Jets, I've heard rumblings of Miami. Whether it be the Raiders, it sounds like Saints might be off the table. No matter where he goes, it's going to be an uphill battle. So what I think emotionally he's still in Green Bay because that's where he was drafted. Like he's got almost 20 years there. Emotionally, that's where he's at, but mentally, I think he's ready to go. I think that's what he's fighting with. But like I said, no matter where he goes, it's basically going to be the same situation. It's going to be a hard win no matter where you're at.
Well, but I think there's only a couple teams in the NFC that would even make that move though. So I don't really I mean he's not going to go to Arizona. He's not going to Seattle. He's not going to Chicago. He's not going obviously to Minnesota. I mean, I think San Francisco, Carolina, I think those are maybe Tampa. I mean, Tampa's right there. They're loaded.
I don't think he's going to follow. He don't want to follow Brady.
No, but I'm just saying for his ego, the way it comes.
No, right. Like, yeah,
I feel like he's like, no, I want the path of least resistance to get to the big game, and then I'll deal with the Burrow, the Allen, the Mahomes, Lamar if he comes back. I'll deal with them for one game. I just don't see him wanting to go and have to fight 3 or 4 games through the playoffs playing all those guys. I mean, I realize that the NFC, the teams aren't as good, but that's why I can see him wanting to stay.
Yeah.
And I know they said Green Bay's not going to trade him to an NFC team. Well, at some point you have to not be petty. I mean, if San Francisco comes to you and says, hey, here's our first rounder this year, our first rounder next year, whatever, it's kind of like, okay, well, here, take him. And the $60 million that comes with him.
Exactly.
But I just don't see him going to the AFC.
I don't know. Anything would surprise me anymore, Puff, though. I mean, Sean Payton took the job to be the Denver Broncos coach. So, I mean, dude, you just never know what's going to happen in the NFL. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, so let's get into that real quick just because we didn't have a podcast since that happened. So Peyton as a Bronco, we all didn't really see that happening. I see it more of why would he want that job? I mean, yeah, I guess money talks based on the contracts that were the contract. I don't think they've announced his contract yet, have they? But I know he was wanting quite a bit.
10 or 15 a year or something.
Yeah, it was like crazy, like huge. Yeah. I mean, that's got to be the only. Not say that's the only reason he wants to take it, but like, I would like to have been a fly on that wall when they had those interviews with him, because what did they tell him to? I just don't see that as that attractive as a job. Like, I think if he would have waited another year, Staley fucks up some more, he could have had that job potentially. That would be a much more attractive job to me, but it is what it is, I guess. But
I'm sure I listened to his press conference, and it sounds like they gave him the keys to the house. I mean, he already said Russell Wilson does not have an office anymore, and his quarterback coach will not be in the building.
Oh yeah, I heard about that too. It's like, yeah, he's putting his foot down, like this is how we're going to do it. Yeah,
which is great. But
I'm assuming Wilson is on board with that, right? He would have to be, right?
I don't know.
I mean, I would think he respects Sean Payton enough to say, "Hey, whatever you say goes." Right? It's not like you're bringing in some offensive coordinator that's never coached before.
That's true. But man, talk about ego.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying that he might agree with it, but he's going to have to, because he's getting paid buku bucks, and you've seen what he's done this last season, and I mean, it was brutal, and he needs to just basically take a step back on his ego and just say, you know what, I'm going to listen to my new coach. I'm going to have to try to do this new offensive scheme and really make it work. If not, then it's just a disaster. But I mean, again, I'm just surprised that job was something he even considered. I wouldn't. I know the Broncos wasn't even their first choice. I don't think Peyton was. I think it was who's the guy signed for the Texans? DeMeco Ryans. Yeah, he was their first choice, and he said no, and then they traded draft picks to get this guy, the coach. That's the crazy thing. Wait another year. It's just crazy.
Well, that's another thing we were getting into in our text message thread about. I think you guys are overvaluing the draft pick compensation.
When your cupboard's bare, you have to have draft picks. when you can't pay when
you're
can't
paying your quarterback that
yeah.
much.
I mean,
you can
you
still
can't-
sign cheap free agents. That's
Who?
not something I'm worried about.
Who are they going to sign for cheap? That's going to help Russell Wilson not.
No one wants to go there.
Yeah.
I
At least if
That's
you
the
draft
thing.
somebody,
Like when
you have
when you
four.
want cheap veterans. Sorry, Puffin, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying if you draft somebody, they have to go, and you have 4 cheap years of a decent talent. Now you're going to get what Von Miller coming back after his contract's up for 10 million. I mean, they have no draft picks. They are the Rams right now.
I mean,
No draft pick.
the way that trade
No
went down, they're only giving up a first rounder. The other draft picks is they gave up a second rounder, but they're getting a third back, so they're losing 1 pick.
But then
And
they
it's a,
lost
and it's
all
a
the
late
picks they
and
had.
it's a
with Russell
and
Wilson.
it's a late round pick at that.
But it's
I
don't. I mean, there's a lot of 4th rounders that are studs in the NFL on the offensive line. I mean,
They didn't give up a 4th rounder
what are you talking about?
for Peyton. They didn't give up a 4th rounder.
They gave up a 1st, a 2nd, and a 4th, and they got back a 3rd and a player or something. I don't know. I just think it's crazy.
know.
That's
I just think it's crazy. I think at this point, when you traded what you did for the house for Russell Wilson and then signed him for all that money, you ain't going to get no cheap veterans that's going to want to go there.
Mm-mm.
Cheap veterans are going to go to teams like the Chiefs or like the 49ers or teams that you know is going to have a chance to get to the Super Bowl. That's what the cheap veterans are going to go towards. They're not going to go to the Denver Broncos right now that are just pure trash. I mean, I know their defense is okay, but they're not going to want to go sign there and say, oh, you're going to go through, Herbert and who knows, maybe Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you just don't know how it's going to shake out with that stuff. But I mean, I didn't see the grab. I don't understand. I think it's dumb to trade for draft picks. I hated it when the Chiefs traded for a draft pick to get Herm Edwards back in the day. I'm just like, why are we wasting our time getting this guy here? I mean, it's just disasters. I just don't like signing coaches.
Oh, we gotta go. Time's up. Bye.
All right.
See you, boys.
Peace.